Well, understanding and finding ways to help treat mental illness remains an ongoing challenge in our country. And now a new documentary screening in Chicago tomorrow examines the reality of living with mental illness in America.
Crazy. What do you think of when you hear that word? Cool? Trippy? That's crazy, man. Or for most of us, the word conjures up mad, bonkers, wacko, loony.
It's called No One Cares About Crazy People and explores the stigma and structural failures in the mental health system. It's based on the book by Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Ron Powers. Actor and Chicago area native Bob Odenkirk, as you saw, narrates the film, and Chicago's Jeff Tweedy, Wilco's frontman, wrote the music. But joining me now to talk about the documentary is its maker, Gail Friedman, who was nice enough to appear live with us this morning. So tell us about the documentary. What will people see, hear, and learn?
Thank you for having me. I wanted to do something that was a real intimate and personal and up-close look at the kind of gritty reality of what it is to live with a severe mental illness, and to try to center people in their own stories, to let them speak in their own voices, and to follow them over time. And so we did that. It took over 5 years to get this film made. But at the same time, I didn't want to just leave it there, because the subject is in the headlines a lot these days, but there's not usually a lot of context or nuance or backstory, and a look at how we can possibly improve things. So we also spent a lot of time looking at the systemic failures, where we came from historically, and some really kind of hopeful solutions that are being looked at in California, but also spreading across the country increasingly. And so it's this kind of blend of the political and the personal throughout the film.
You know, I always say that there's still a challenge of removing the stigma of mental illness in conversations in this country. What do you hope people will take away from this documentary?
Well, I hope they take away something that I took away, which is that there are no degrees of separation between any of us and this subject. Whether it's someone in our family, a neighbor, a friend, a classmate, a coworker, we are all touched personally as well as culturally by this subject. And try not to look away. Try to look more deeply into it, because it is all of us. And I think change begins with understanding, so I hope increased understanding and empathy.
And you know, going back to that, the word stigma, it is an illness. It is not a choice.
Correct.
It is an illness, like cancer. I mean, I would imagine that's something you sort of hope people will take away as well.
Absolutely, and the fact that it is an illness, it's an illness that strikes often when someone is in young adulthood and has had an incredibly promising childhood and early life until then. And the families are the other thing that I hope people respect, because I think a lot of times we see someone who might be unhoused or ranting, and again, our temptation is to look away and think, where's their family? Why isn't their family with them? Well, what you find is that families are there and are in the trenches and have been trying and butting their heads up against a really tough and unresponsive system. And it's a full family disease. It's an equal opportunity disorder.
I know there's a screening tomorrow
of
No One Cares About Crazy People at Columbia College, and then there's a panel discussion afterwards. What would you like to tell me about that for people who might be interested?
Well, the doors open at 2. The show gets underway at 2:45. Deputy Governor Ho is going to introduce the film, so we're very pleased about that. And the executive director of the National Alliance for Mental Illness, NAMI Chicago, will moderate the panel discussion. I'll be there. There'll be a couple of extraordinary advocates, and there'll be a chance to really engage in conversation with the audience. And I've been taking this film around the country, and those audience conversations are powerful. That is often as powerful as the film itself, the kind of exchanges that take place.
Sometimes a film or a book that deals with mental illness helps people open up about their own experiences, right?
Precisely right.
Gail Friedman, thank you so much for joining us this morning to talk about your film, No One Cares About Crazy People. And again, if you are interested in attending tomorrow's screening and panel discussion, it is at 2:45, doors open at 2 at Columbia College's Film Row Cinema. We'll have a link to buy tickets on our website as well, and we'll be right back.